4th at Cottonwood Creek, tailor-made fitting day. We're now joined by Tony Miles, who was an All-American star, national champion at Northwest Missouri State, now at University High, played at Mart High School as well. Tony, when you heard your name was on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame, what was your reaction? What does it mean to you?
Well, I was shocked. I mean, so far removed from actually playing the game of football, you tend to almost forget that you actually played. You know, I was shocked. But, you know, I feel like it's a tremendous honor to be, you know, thought of in that manner, because when you play the game, you never sit out to do any of those things, but to be thought of in that manner, I was quite honored.
When you I know, and it's been, like you said, it's been a little bit, but when you come out of Mart and you kind of have the build-up and the excellence that you guys had at Mart, was it easier to step into the spotlight of college football, even at the smaller level, and play in those bigger stages?
Well, I wouldn't say easy, because, you know, the game gets tougher, you know, because everyone were pretty much standouts on their high school football teams. And, you know, when you go into the college world, it becomes way more of a business. So you have to manage yourself, you know, in a totally different light. But yeah, you know, come from Mart, you know, we only know one way to play, and that's to play hard and fast. And, you know, I took that with me, and it helped me and aided me, you know, throughout my career for the most part.
What's more exhilarating, a big-time touchdown catch or a big-time touchdown run, or housing, you know, one on special teams on punt or kick returns?
Well, special teams, because I think that, you know, on the punt return is the most spectacular play in football, because you have both factions out there. You have the offensive guys out there, defensive guys out there, and it's on a tiny possession. I mean, you know, and the whole stadium's watching, man. But when you catch a punt return, you run it all the way back. I mean, your defense has got to stop, and you score based on the defensive play. I think that's the most exciting play in football.
Do you know what the requirements are, the criteria to be a part of this ballot?
I absolutely do not.
Well, there's a lot of them, and a lot of it might be the timeline and how coaches are available and how long someone's been out of the game. But the first and foremost, a player must have received first-team All-American recognition by a selector recognized by the NCAA. In other words, the various All-American teams. And here's to put this in perspective. 5.47 million people have played college football since it began, but only 1,038 have been inducted. And now you're on the ballot, which means you're obviously even a smaller percentage that among that. So now that I've told you that, what does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, data. You know, data is data, but you know, I never fathomed, you know, the odds and things to be, you know, nominated or be in this select group. But 5 points, that's a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it feels good. You know, it feels good to be in a select group, and when you put the numbers on it, it makes it feel a little better. But like I say, when you're playing the game of football and you're a college kid and you're going out there and you're just doing something that you love, like you never set out to do these things, and for, you know, honors like this to come, you know, when you're so much removed from actually playing the game of football, it does feel really good. It feels real, real good.
What was it like to win the Grey Cup when you were in Toronto with the Argonauts?
It was a ride, man. The Canadian game is such a fun thing, and it's way more of a game than the NFL because of the business side of the NFL gets real ugly, real fast, you know. But the Canadian game, that they rally behind their teams like no other, and I mean, it's the NFL or the CFL, man, and to play that game and how octane it is. You know, you're running around, it feels a little wide, it feels a little longer. You're throwing the ball all over the place, and you got these fanatical fans everywhere. And then it gets cold. It gets cold too. It gets a little cold, man. But you embrace all of that and to go on and you win. You win, the national championship up there with a group of guys. You have, Canadians on one side. I mean, you have Americans. You all mixed together and you playing for the same thing. Man, it was such a tremendous feeling to win a Grey Cup.
How important was that for you, Tony, and others to have that opportunity in the Canadian Football League, to have an option outside of just it's NFL or bust?
Well, I think if you're talented enough to ever be able to play be a professional in anything for the most part, but in a sport where it's such a gladiator sport where, it's such a grueling task, over the years to actually be able to play, and then you have the opportunity to be a professional at it. I think it gives you the another faction to be able to go on and provide for your family. When I played in the CFL, you were basically on a 1-year contract, and it was like a partnership with the NFL. So every year, the NFL teams will call for me to come into camp, but I chose to stay, and the reason why I really chose to stay is because they wouldn't give me enough money in the, in a signing bonus, to come to camp. So if I wouldn't have made the team, I basically would have lost money, and I just, I enjoyed the game, and I just didn't really want to take that risk.
You lost, I believe, in the 2 years at Northwest Missouri State. And I didn't realize how amazing their history was, but you were a part of national championships in back-to-back years. I think you were 29-1. Do you remember the wins, or do you remember the 2 championships, or do you remember the one game you lost? And do you remember which one that was?
I remember the one game we lost. I remember it all. I remember the one game we lost. We lost to Nebraska Omaha, a team that was pretty good. They came in, they beat us. I mean, we went there and they beat us on the first game of the year. It was a torrential downpour. They beat us pretty handily. But, we got a chance to right that wrong because we had to play them the first round of the playoffs. And then we came back and we beat them pretty good. So just to be a part of that ride, because before I got there, they were maybe like 5-6. And, and we put it together right away. When I I may have lost 4 or 5 games total my whole time at Northwest. We were pretty dang on good. We had great coaches, and we had, obviously a pretty good team. And, if we weren't as good, I think my statistical numbers would have been a lot better. But I'd rather be good with, statistics the way they are than to be a bad team with, astronomical stats.
When you were at Mart, and I know that there's been a lot in the last several years, the Mart-Crawford rivalry over the years, but there's Riesel because they're right next door, even though you've dominated Riesel. Who was your biggest rival, Pittsburgh State or somebody you played when you were at Mart High School?
Oh, that's a big question. I would have to say Pittsburgh State, to be quite honest. Because playing those guys in high school in Riesel, Riesel actually beat us one year when we were in high school, and they were pretty good. But playing those, we always felt like we were going to beat them. It was a rivalry, but we always felt like we were going to beat them. But to play at Pitt State, and you go there, and you're a true outsider when you go there, and playing in front of those, it was some nasty fans they had, man. And to go there and play and compete. I mean, like whoever won that game was going to win the conference every year. So it was like a conference championship every year. So I would have to say Pittsburgh State.
All right, so now you're on the staff at University High. They've been through that change when it comes to coaching change, and we've had your new coach on. He was great. I know, Tony, you probably have aspirations to want to be a head coach as well. How has the transition been?
I think he's come in, and I think he's done a lot of things, the right way. I think that he's won some people over with the way he's interacted, especially through the social media. He's drawn a lot of people in. He came in so late, so it's kind of hard. He came in late. Spring ball was not far off, and you had to put your system in, and you have to. hit the ground running. Not lack of a better word. You have to hit the ground running, man. And I think when we push through the spring, it seemed like we're headed in the right direction. Now we just got to go and see how the fall shakes out.
Yeah, obviously, I'll talk about Coach Laster. Now, what are you more proud of? The fact you're on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot, or I saw your son on Twitter, and underneath his timeline, he has a 3.8 GPA.
Yeah, man. We're going to try to keep that GPA at 3.8 and see if we can get a little higher. He's a pretty studious guy. And, when you he was born in Canada, so he's traveled, and then we traveled a little bit. But, when you're a son of someone that a lot of people recognize by face and by name, I don't think it's always that easy to be that guy, But I think he handles everything very well. I mean, he's a high school athlete, and I always preach, and his mom preaches that you got to be a student athlete all the time, and he does a great job of taking care of the student part, and we're very proud of him.
Well, I know you are. Thank you very much, Tony. We appreciate your time. Congratulations on being on the ballot. I will try to sit there. There's 12,000 members of the National Football Foundation who vote. I don't know how many actually do, but I'll try to sit there and maybe do a reply all and say, you better vote for Tony Miles. We need him. All right, man. Congratulations, man.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me.
Tony Miles, Mart High School, Northwest Missouri State. They've won like 6 national